Thanks for tuning in to Blue Talk. Today I'd like to talk about cops versus police officers. So, cops are police officers, but not all police officers are cops, and I'll explain my philosophy to you. Your goal is to be both. The goal is to be a cop and a police officer. The problem we have out here is there's way too many of us. We're just police officers. And I'll explain the difference here to you. So a cop, we'll start off with a cop. Cop tends to have a lot of understanding, and he takes the totality of the circumstances into consideration. And I'll explain a little scenario on that later. Cops tend to have empathy. Okay, that's feeling for somebody else. Cops tend to have a good sense of humor. It's super important to have your sense of humor. And cops and police officers, but cops use their discretion really well. And I'll talk about discretion here. You only have one superpower as a police officer. I'm going to say it twice. You really only have one superpower, and that's discretion. Even a judge doesn't have discretion to see or not see evidence. He has to see it. He can exclude it, but he has to see it. So that is your only superpower. Now, verbal judo is another great thing that cops have that a lot of police officers don't. So take those things into consideration when you're a cop. Police officers tend to be a little more rigid. They're policy driven. They're either married to the department or married to the rules, and they worry about their actions they're going to take because they're always under scrutiny by some supervisor or some outrageous policy that's been put in. So police officer and a cop. So police officers tend to focus more on themselves versus cops who tend to focus more on the totality of the circumstances and the people you're dealing with. So let's talk about that discretion. Remember, it's your only superpower. The discretion is an important tool that we have, and I don't think a lot of officers use it as well as they should. Say it's December 5th, it's almost Christmas. You stop a vehicle, it's got two baby seats in the back. The guy driving's got a shirt on that says Bob, and his hands are dirty. He's obviously coming from work. You run him, and he's only got a moving violation 5 years ago. This is a great opportunity for you to be a cop. It's a great time to say, hey, sir, you were speeding today, but you haven't had any tickets in a while, and it's almost Christmas time, so I'm going to give you a verbal warning today. Slow it down for me if you would. And I know a lot of you do that, so I'm just saying there's a lot out there. There's a lot of police officers who aren't a cop. So here's my philosophy. Start off as a cop. Start off as a cop and let these people turn you into the police. Okay? And that happens all the time. You start off nice and you're trying to do your job, and then somebody does something that turns you into the police. And that's fine because that's what we have to do. And use your enforcement action, do what you have to do. But start off as a cop. Now, I've worked at places, suburbs, and I've worked inner city, so I got a pretty good balance on both of those out there. And I'll tell you, working in the inner city, a lot of these guys that you're going to deal with, they already have a felony or two. They don't care about your shiny little badge, police officer. They'll go right through your badge. You better have good verbal judo skills, and you better have a lot of the tactics that don't come on your gun belt. So the goal is to be both a cop and a police officer. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I think I'm a cop, or maybe I do some of those things, try to do it a little bit better. The other thing that drives me crazy on the police officer side is once you put your uniform on, a lot of police officers, they have to change who they are completely. They change their personality and everything. And I understand professionalism and you have to tone a few things down, but don't let the uniform define who you are. Okay? That's your agency you work for. Wear it proud, be professional, all those things. I get that. But I'm asking you, if you're a police officer now, use your cop skills. Be a cop. It's okay to have some fun at work. It's okay to have a sense of humor. It's okay to have some empathy. Okay? So, cops versus a police officer. Obviously, a cop is both, but a police officer isn't always a cop. So, if you find yourself being too much of a police officer, work on becoming a cop and mix it in there with the program that you're running now. I think that's about it for this. I try to keep these things short. I know our attention span isn't too long. But so cops versus police officer, let's try to be both. Now, people are going to turn you into the police. Start off as a cop. Let them turn you into the police. Lord knows that people drive me crazy on scenes. I lose my temper, and not all my tactics always work amazing, but I always try to start off as a cop, and the uniform is what they see, and they see a police officer. So you can fix that by starting off as a cop. Okay, that's all I got to talk about today. Work on your cop skills. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I have 58 subscribers. I'd like to get to 100 because I get a free toaster when I get to 100. So feel free to click that subscribe button, leave me some comments, yada, yada, yada. Be safe out there.